I will go over the Maheswara Sutra, and I will pronounce it very slowly, and so that you can perhaps hear the individual syllables that are contained in these 14 sutras. Okay? We have A, I, Un, that's retroflex, Na, A, I, Un. We have Ra, Ruk, which is vocalic, Ra, Ora, Ka, it's a Ruk. A, On, A, On. We saw how A and O are formed, and the nasal is of the first varga. Then we have I, Ouch, the complex I of A plus E, and U, A plus U. I, Ow. We have then Ha, Ya, Va, Rat, Lan, Nyamarna, Na, Nam. That's a very interesting one, where we have all the nasals. Arna, Ma, Arna, Na, Nam. Nya, Ma, Arna, Na, Nam. Ja, aspirated, Ja, Bhan, aspirated Bha. Ga, Dha, Dash, aspirated Ga, or Da, Dha, Sh. Non-aspirated Jaba, Ga, Da, Dash, Ja, Ba, Ga, Da, Dash, Da and Da. Ka, Pa, Cha, Ta, Ta, Cha, Ta, Tao, Kapaya, Sha, Sha, Sa, Sha, Sha, Sar, Ha. I know this must be incredibly, incredibly esoteric. It's esoteric for everyone. This is one of the most powerful collections of syllables, I think, on the planet, and certainly without the revelation of this collection of syllables to Panini, it would have required a whole different thing to happen to eventually create a computer revolution.
What do they? Like how are they organized based on the different vargas, or are they? What's the kind of structure that's going on in this?
Well, you see, what is curious is that the system, and when I use this word system, I'm using it not just as sort of small s system, but system in the sense that the Europeans discovered system, I don't think any earlier than the 19th century, at least in terms of speech. The system really is a, I, I, u. The system is ka ka ga ga na cha 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 na ta 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 da na ta 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 da na pa 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 ma ya ra wa la sha 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 sa. Ah, this is the system. Oh, I think this is telling us that maybe we're over. But okay, let's see if we can just go on for a minute or two.
Just curious about the Shiva Sutra, but it sounds like there's a lot there for.
What you're going to find, if you really sort of explore the way that people have worked with speech, people who have something to say, have an application with this, that there are a number of different ways that the basic system is twisted and turned to be used. And this constitutes the nature of a great deal of esoteric study. It's not a simple one-to-one replacement.
Question regarding the last class, if I might.
Yes, please.
In the story about your guru who listed the in tracing back the birth date of the Yankacharya, wasn't it? The original, the sort of dating of his. Yeah. When he did that, is that something he had memorized, or did he just kind of tap into, you know, universal records and
with the
Akashic records and just download it on the fly?
Well, yeah, that's a very interesting question, actually. I think that it's really sort of a combination of the two. That it's not completely memorization, but there's a lot of it. A lot of Sanskrit, and especially important articulations in Sanskrit, are composed in such a way where there are mnemonic devices installed in them, such as instead of memorizing somebody's speech, you were to have to memorize a poem that had the consistent meter and had a rhyme at the end of every line. You would probably find it easier to memorize the poem than somebody's speech.
Yeah.
And you would have ways of testing yourself to make sure that you had memorized it accurately. I mean, for example, if you repeat it and it doesn't rhyme, then you know that something's wrong. But if you memorize somebody's speech and repeated it, you wouldn't have, you know, a built-in tool to determine its accuracy. So, so mnemonic devices are very much a part of Indian languages, and especially when they become more esoteric. In an analogical sense, I would say, yes, he's pulling from the sky. I mean, this is the way that I see it. What he's pulling from is a common pool. There's sort of a common pool of consciousness that partly is reached by memorization and this kind of discipline, but it sort of exists outside of the individual as well. So if that individual forgets it or dies or something like that, this common pool is still in existence and still accessible.